Recycled papers are one of my favourite things to use in my junk journals, and whether it's things I'm saving from packaging or even tearing out pages of old journals that I don't want to keep anymore and repurposing them into my new art projects, there's so many different ways that you can upcycle the papers and scraps that you already have. So for today's prompt of No Sew November, we're going to be working with recycled pieces, and I'm going to be using all these bits and pieces around on my desk to include in this little mini junk journal that I have been working on, and I'm just going to use them as some base collage layers to add throughout these journal pages. So as you can see, I've got lots going on around me here, so let's just organize ourselves a little bit because there is a lot going on here. So I do have some smaller bits here, like little bits of confetti, which I thought could be quite nice for like a subtle layer of colour and for layering. Also some old stamps as well. You could also save them from things you get in the post as well, so that's kind of a upcycled element in that sense. And I've just popped them on a piece of card so I don't lose them amongst all these other papers I've got going on, and even bits that I've ripped off from tissue paper just because this had some nice little gold foiling on it. And then, like I said, I've also got things that I've just torn out from other journals that I was working on. So this is something that I was tea dyeing, and so I've just taken these pages that weren't used, and I obviously don't want to waste them because there's still parts of this that I can salvage or use in other things. And so I am recycling my own stuff as well. I did debate grabbing one of my sketchbooks because something that I have done previously is just pull out things from my sketchbooks where I've just been playing around with painting and doodling and things and using them in my backgrounds as well. Because this is quite a small journal, they were all a bit too large for that, so I decided against that, and I've just got this pile of tea-dyed papers which I thought might be nice just for adding some aged effects to the backgrounds I've got going on. And I just thought that seeing as these have an aged effect to them already, it's kind of a mess-free way of me adding some tea staining to this book, seeing as that's something that I haven't done on any of these pages yet, and it's a technique that I really love to include within pretty much all of my journals, I'd say, either accidentally or on purpose, because I have tipped coffee onto a journal cover, I think actually a few years ago. So yeah, tea and coffee staining always ends up somewhere in my journals, and this time I'm going to do it on purpose. But I also have some other packaging here, so the backs of like stickers, and this is a piece of cardboard from a note paper pad, and you can see I was trying here just to see whether the patterned layer would peel off, because obviously this is way too thick to include within the journal itself, but I could peel off this individual thinner layer here, and I was thinking maybe I could include this either in little sections or have it where I add it on certain pages and then I'll come in with some white acrylic paint or something just to subdue it, push it into the background, but just use it as a bit of a background layer, seeing as we are still at that stage with this journal. So yeah, I literally have all sorts. This is another piece. It's not as thick as the other one, but again, I will probably see if I can try and peel off some of the excess backing. So if you're worried about adding things that are too like thick to your journal pages, then try and see if you can carefully peel them like this, like you do with napkins, because sometimes you can get like a thinner layer then to be able to add that to your journal, and it's just far less bulk than having all of this added to your journal page as well. But you do have to be very patient and not go too quickly with it, because sometimes it will rip, but generally once you kind of get it going at the corners, you can peel it off. And so there we go. So that's the patterned bit that I want to save. And as you can see, this is quite shiny in terms of packaging, so I would probably do the same as what I did to this cover, where this cover was actually high gloss in the same way as it is here, because this is where it was from. You can see the glare is a lot on this box, like that's how high gloss it is. And I just used some gel matte medium on top of this just to completely make it matte, and it's a lot nicer, I think, and just helps to make it look more like it's an actual cover. And so adding the gel matte medium to something like this, or even to this as well, will help it to blend into the journal and just make it easier to work on top of as well if I want to add paint, if I want to glue anything to it. So I just pulled this out because I really like some of the areas of pattern here. So I'm thinking particularly this one and this one here. These are a little bit too dark potentially for the style of journal that I've got going on, but definitely this one. And again, probably the same principle where I think I'm going to have it as more of a background layer, something like that. And then I also have some tissue paper as well, because I never seem to get rid of any tissue paper that I come across, because it's just so great to add to junk journal pages as collage, as backgrounds. And so yeah, I have got lots and lots of recycled pieces here to choose from. And so I'm just going to go through the journal pages here. So let's just open up to the first page. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is add some of this coffee stained paper, and I just really like the effect that you get on the paper, the little areas of detail. And so I'm just going to add some of these probably to most of the pages. I feel like with this journal I'm working a lot on the front of it at the moment, because we've got two sides to it, and I'm kind of leaving those maybe for the second half of the challenge, I don't know. But I'm just going to see what I feel like adding these different collage pieces too, and I think this will just help to add a bit of warmth to some of the pages as well. And so I think it's interesting working in the journal in this way and adding all of these layers separately and seeing how they come together with every different technique that I bring to them each prompt. And so you can see how with the confetti there, because the tissue paper is so thin, it's really blended into the page, and I don't think it's that bright. So I think they're definitely going to be an interesting pop of colour that I can put throughout the different pages. And I'm wondering if I could just cut off maybe the edge from a piece of packaging like this and use it as maybe a design element on one of the pages. Maybe one for the front and then one for the reverse of the journal. And then I'm just going to add some of these patterned elements as well. So obviously, you know, a lot of this probably will get covered up when it comes to adding other layers to these pages, but we are still working on just adding things to the base of this journal at the moment. So I'm not too particularly worried at this point. This feels quite dark. I'm not sure about this, you know, because I was thinking I really liked the pattern on it, but maybe it's too dark. I think it's too grey. Let's not do that. Okay, I've decided against that. Let's add something else. Maybe let's try this and see if this will blend in nicer, just because it's more of a like neutral palette. So I'm just going to try and gently see if I can peel this off without ripping most of it. It's actually a little bit too thick for being at the join there, so I'm just going to move it to another section of the journal, and then because I've got all that glue on the page, I'm just going to add something else to it. So let's just add that to the wraparound tip in there, and then let's just use this instead. I think this must be some leftovers from stamping, so why not bring it into this and see what we can add to this journal page with some old stamps as well. That might be fun. And for any of the pieces that go onto the envelope here, I'm just going to very gently tuck those in so I don't end up gluing down the envelope yet. I'm wondering whether it might be too busy for this on the journal now, but let's maybe see if we can add at least some of it, just because I really like the colours. Yeah, I get the feeling that that actually might be too busy for this journal. I don't know, possibly there, but again, I think it might be too busy. Maybe let's have a little green section. Maybe the orange is throwing me off. That's a little bit better. I think it just looked better as the packaging, and now that I'm actually seeing it in the context of the journal, it's not looking as good. Which it's fine, that happens. Maybe I could add some tiny little pieces of it. I want to add some of it, and I'll end up probably pushing it back with some paint or something anyway, so let's maybe add it somewhere that I know I'm going to then add some paint to. Maybe on the other side. Oh, I'm struggling, you know, maybe this doesn't, no, maybe this might not make it onto this journal. I don't think the colours go. Not for this one, but I'll keep it to the side because I might use it for something else. Okay, so that is my layer of some recycled pieces and papers that I have added to. I think I've put something on pretty much every single journal page that I've got so far. I even added some on the reverse here as well. So this journal is building up slowly with these layers, but you know, these things take time, and it's really nice to work through the process slowly and see how all of these different pages come together. So I hope you've enjoyed joining me for this. Let me know what you have added to your journal for this prompt of recycled pieces, and I will see you in the next one.